Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I welcome you all to the online class of economics. Children, today I'm going to start the next chapter of our book, and the name of our chapter is Problem of Deficient Demand and Excess Demand. So, children, this is the chapter number 9 of our macroeconomics books, and in the previous chapter, that is the short run equilibrium output, we have learned first the concept of investment multiplier. Thereafter, we have learned the mechanism of investment multiplier and some of the various topics how we calculate the investment multiplier. Now, children, we are going to start this chapter, and in this chapter, we are going to learn the problem of deficient demand and the excess demand. So this chapter is really very important from the exam point of view also, because in this chapter we are learn all the various adjustments what is being taken by the government as well as the RBI to control the deficient demand as well as the excess demand prevailing in an economy. So the topic what we are going to cover up today is first some essential concepts like what is full employment equilibrium and underemployment equilibrium, the voluntary and involuntary unemployment, full employment and the natural employment, and thereafter we will learn the problems of deficient demand, the problem of excess demand, measures to control all this deficient and excess demand. So children, let us start with the first topic, the concept of full employment equilibrium. So children, this full employment equilibrium refers to the equilibrium when all resources in the economy are fully utilized, or you can say it is fully employed. Simply when when the equilibrium between aggregate demand and aggregate supply take place at full employment of resources, it is called as full employment equilibrium. Now, there are some important top points which we have to be understood. The first is there are no unused resources. So children, as such the name suggests, that is full employment equilibrium. We means that whatever the resources we have fully utilized. So we have utilized all the land, labor, capital, entrepreneur with our country, and there are no resources unused. Thereafter, there is no involuntary unemployment to the equilibrium where all resources in the economy are fully utilized and fully employed. It means that whatever the laborers, the working capacity, the working peoples we have in a country, we have given them fully employment, and all are working for the production of the various goods and services. So this is a full employment equilibrium. Now children, the next topic is underemployment equilibrium. So as the name implies, is underemployment equilibrium means equality between aggregate demand and aggregate supply, but at less than full employment. So it is a state of equilibrium when the level of demand is less than aggregate employment level of output. So in other words, we can say that in producing the output, economies all resources are not fully employed, that is some resources are underemployed. So children, with this definition, we will understood that a full employment equilibrium refers to that situation in an economy where aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, or you can say when the saving is equal to investment, along with fuller utilization of resources, so that there is no excess capacity of unemployment in an economy. It means that whatever the working capacities we have already used for the production of various goods and services is known as full employment equilibrium. And in underemployment equilibrium, this underemployment equilibrium refers to that situations in an economy when aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, or saving is equal to investment, but without the fuller utilization of resources. So accordingly, there is an unutilized capacity or unemployment in an economy, and even in a state of equilibrium. So this is the definitions, the concept of unemployment equilibrium as well as underemployment equilibrium. So children, if you just see here the graph, the diagram, the income or the output or the aggregate supply we are being plotted on the x-axis, whereas aggregate demand, which is the sum total of consumption and investment, we are plotted on the y-axis. This aggregate supply curve starts from origin, and it makes a 45-degree angle, whereas the initial aggregate demand curve is AD, which is starts from the middle or from the less middle part of the y axis. So AD1 is actually the aggregate demand occurs, and here the point E1 touches the aggregate supply curve. So this is known as again an equilibrium point where the resources are not fully utilized. That is why it is called as underemployment equilibrium. Whereas at point E it is known as the full employment equilibrium, because at this point E aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply, and it shows a full employment equilibrium point. So this is how you can understand here that children, aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply at both the equilibrium points. It is aggregate demand or aggregate supply. I mean AD is equal to AS at point E, and AD is equal to AS at point E1. But both this point shows a different employment equilibrium point. This point E1 shows an underemployment equilibrium point, whereas the E point shows the full employment equilibrium, which lies on the uppermost part of E1. So this is how the concept of aggregate demand is. Now children, let us learn the next topic, that is what is an unemployment. So children, in economics, unemployment refers to the condition of unwanted job losses or willing workers without job. The willingness of the unemployed workers to be employed is the key of this idea. So a person who is physically fit, mentally sound, well qualified, willing to work at a prevailing wage rate is known as an employment person. So it means a person who is willing and able to work at an existing wage rate does does not get work is known as unemployment. Now children, let us learn the next few varieties of unemployment. Now the first varieties of unemployment is fractional unemployment. Fractional employment, it is also called as voluntary unemployment as well. So fractional employment, we can say that fractional employment is the unemployment which is concerned with the changing of jobs in this dynamic economy. So this is a type of voluntary unemployment that arises because of the time needed to needed to match job seekers with the job openings. Just as frictions always takes place between before the slider comes to it final positions on the surface, people need time to find the best job. Then then voluntarily nothing back and forth between choices and staying unemployed. This is basically a proverb what we can understood. But a voluntary unemployment, we can understand that a voluntary unemployment refers to the situation when people chooses to work and people chooses to remain unemployed even when jobs are available. This may not be willing to work at all or not willing to work at an existing wage rate. It means a person is willing and able to work. He is obviously getting a work, but he does not want to work. I mean, he has get many job offers with him, but he does not want to work, and he wants to remain an unemployed person. So for example, when you made up your mind and set off looking for a better job, then then uh, the abandoning the current one, you are in the fractional unemployment labor force. It means when you are obviously looking out to work on more better job. I mean, if you are working somewhere, you're getting a job offer, but still you want that you should work more better and you should get more better job opportunity, then in this way you are neglecting that opportunity, then it is known as the frictional unemployment, or it is also known as in voluntary unemployment. So, as I just said, voluntary unemployment refers to that situation when people choose to remain unemployed even when jobs are available. They may not be willing to work at all or not willing to work at an existing wage. Now, what is involuntary unemployment? Children, involuntary employment is again called as unemployment. Refers to a situation when some peoples are not get work even when they are willing to work at an existing wage rate. So, it is a situation when aggregate demand is not enough to induce full utilization of existing resources. And this problem of unemployment refers to the problem of involuntary unemployment, not the problem of not the problem of voluntary unemployment. Now, the next variety of unemployment is seasonal unemployments. As the name suggests, a seasonal. I mean, a person is getting job for a seasonal basis, and a seasonal basis in a sense is getting a job only for some period of months in a year. So, beta, we have taken one example as agriculture is a seasonal activity. There is an increase in demand for the labor at the time of sowing, harvesting, weeding, and threshing. In between, there is a little or no demand for labor. Therefore, the agriculture labor finds himself unemployed during the period when he is not getting any work in agriculture. So, therefore, this is called as seasonal unemployment. Technical unemployment. So, if there is an unemployment caused by the technological changes or a new method of production in an industry or business, then it is known as technical unemployment. For example, the evolution of the automobile assembly plant. In the beginning, everything on the line was done by the humans in order to build a car. The assembly line itself was a new technology innovation, and today robots are employed for much of the handwork human used to do. It means all the labor intensive technology has been converted into the capital intensive technology, whereas more and more machineries has been installed. And here many industries, many of firms, the companies are doing their production with the help of machineries. Human and humans are not getting job there, and maximum the robot is also being employed there to assemble the various parts and to work accordingly. So therefore, here we can call as the peoples or the persons are being employed for and technical unemployment. Next is the structural unemployment. So structural unemployment, children, this unemployment arises due to structural change in the dynamic economy, and unemployment caused by massive mismatch of skills or geographic locations is noted as the structural unemployment. For example, heavy manufacturing mining machines, manufacturing companies, manufacturers manufacture now involves machinery, so humans are no longer needed to the hard work. It means the heavy machinery minings manufacturers are now involves various machineries, so that humans are no longer to work and there is no need of any hard work. So this is also called as a people are suffering with a structural unemployment. So structural unemployment poses more of a problem because workers must seek jobs elsewhere or must develop the skills demanded. So the process is full of pain and frustrations and may lead to negative impact on the society. So these are the way, and next is full employment and the natural unemployment. Now, what is full employment? Children, the full employment refers to the situation when all those who are able to work and are willing to work at an existing wage rate are getting work. So it is a situation when the corresponding to the given wage rate for labor is equal to supply of labor and the labor market is cleared. So it is basically a state of equilibrium. And the next variety of unemployment is underemployment. What is the term underemployment here, children? The term underemployment has three distinct related meanings. First, a situation in which someone with excellent job qualifications is working in a position which requires lesser qualifications. It means when a person is having enough skill or when he has enough knowledge, but still he is not doing a work, he is not doing his work or a job as per his qualification, but he is working for a lesser qualification. It means a high skilled person we are placed on the less qualification person. So this is called an underemployment equilibrium working where a person's capacity to work is more where he is placed with the less qualification job. For example, you see there are n number of BTech students who have passed. They are highly educated as well, and there is massive unemployment which is prevailing in a country. That is why they are used to work for even for a peon in an office, and the qualification for this peon post is like only fifth or eighth pass. So you just see a high qualified person is obviously willing to work as an peon where the education qualification needed is only fifth or eighth pass outs to person. So this is an underemployment. Working part time when one would prefer to be working full time. Like a person is obviously working for a part time where he is obviously want to work for full time. So it is also a case of underemployment. So underemployment basically is a form of overstaffing in which employees are not being fully utilized. For example, an engineer working in pizzas or delivery man is considered to be an underemployed and underutilized by the economy as he is in theory can provide a great benefit to the overall economy if he is working as an engineer. So this is why we are understood the concept of underemployment. So now children, let us learn the topic deficient demand. So what is deficient demand? It is the full of deficient demand of full employment, the meaning, impact, deflationary gap, and the reasons. Children, when in an economy aggregate demand falls short of aggregate supply at full employment, the demand is said to be a deficient demand, and the difference is called as deflationary gap. Simply, deficient demand refers to a situation when aggregate demand is equal to when aggregate demand is less than aggregate supply at full employment level of output in an economy, and as a result resources of the economy remains partly unutilized and indicating an underemployment. So this is basically the diagram of deficient demand. The income, the output or the GDP we are going to plot it on the x-axis, and on y-axis we are plotted aggregate demand, which is the sum total of consumption plus investment. The aggregate supply curve starts from the origin and it is also representing with Y. And the aggregate demand at full level of employment is shown with G curve, which is going up, and it is being representing as AD at full employment equilibrium. Now, the aggregate demand in an economy falls short. The actual aggregate demand remains as ADP, which is called as planned aggregate demand, and this curve, this AD planned demand is being represented with P curve. Now, both these two curves are intersecting the aggregate supply at E point and also at F point. So at E point it is known as the full employment equilibrium point, but it does not lies on this point, but it remains less as this B, or you can say this planned aggregate demand curve intersect the aggregate supply at F point, or F point is known as the deficient demand. So in between the of areas from E to F, this is known as a deficient demand, and it gives rise to the deflationary gap. Now children, just see the various causes behind of this deficient demand. So the first causes behind this deficient demand is reduction in the private consumption expenditure. Children, as you all must be knowing, that government is the first and the biggest consumer in this economy. If the consumer demands for the various goods and services, then the demand of the commodity definitely decreases. But if the demand for the private consumption expenditure also reduces, then the demand for the commodity also decreases, which shows the situation of a deficient demand. So private consumption expenditure is an important component of aggregate demand, and any reduction in the private consumption expenditure causes a serious deficiency in aggregate demand, and private consumption expenditure may reduce owing to the several reasons. However, the most important reduction in the propensity to consume or increase in the propensity to save is the main causes of reduction of demand of goods and services. Now, second is reduction in private investment expenditure. Private investment expenditure is another component of aggregate demand. It may reduce in situation of poor business expectations. It has happened in all the market economies of the world in the year 2015 to 16. So if the government does not decided, or if the normal people does not decided to make investment, so in this case the demand of various goods and services will fall down, and which again give rise to the deficient demand. Next is reduction in the government expenditure. As I just explained you, government is the biggest and the is the biggest and the uh, is the biggest consumer in an economy. If the government decided to consume or to spend on various goods and services, or on making various infrastructure for the social welfare of the people, then the government demands various goods and services. So in this condition, the demand of the commodity increases. But if the government decided to reduce or to stop up the infrastructure, or to not invest more for more in the infrastructure sectors, then in this condition the demand of government expenditure will fall down, and which definitely gives a cause of deficient demand. So with this point, what I'm actually want to explain you is the government is the biggest and the topmost consumers in an economy. If the government decide to spend on and the various infrastructure, then they demand various goods and services, and on this basis the demand of the commodity increases. But if the government decide to stop the infrastructure, or to postpone the infrastructural sectors at a few point of time, then he is not going to demand for goods and services. So in this case, there is obviously give a rise to the deficient demand. So the next is decline in exports. So if there is a decline in the sports also, then it is always give a rise to the deficient demand, because a fall in export implies a fall in the expenditure on the domestically produced goods and services. This leads rise to a fall in aggregate demand. Next is rise in imports. Imports may rise when the international prices are lower than the domestic prices. So imports are a negative component of aggregate demand, and accordingly a rise in import leads to a fall in aggregate demand. And the last option is increase in tax rates. So if there is an increase in tax rates, leaves lesser disposable incomes with the people. It reduced the capacity to spend even when their propensity to spend remains the same. And lower disposable income means lower level of AD. It means if the government is spending more, if the government is charging, if the government is charging more on the incomes, or you can say if the tax rates of the government is high, then the consumer will not going to consume various goods and services. Like if the sale tax, the service tax, and VAT tax, this all are increasing or it is on a high peak, then the customer does not want to spend more for the consumption of various goods and services, because the cost of the product becomes higher. So in this case, there is a decrease in the demand of various goods and services. So these are the children, the various causes of fall in demand, or we call it a deficient demand. So children, so far what we have understood first the full employment equilibrium, thereafter underemployment equilibrium, or what is unemployment and what are the various varieties of unemployment. We have learned their definitions and the concept with an examples, and thereafter we have learned the concept of deficient demand with the definition, with a diagram, and the factors, the causes behind of deficient demand. So children, that's all for today. I hope today's lecture will get you will better understand the concept of deficient demand and all the various types of unemployment. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day. Thank you. Sai Ram.